I don't know what it was, but the thing was loud. Hey guys, I'm Chez, this is Chez M0i. Welcome back to my channel and to another restaurant review. Today's video is about the Copper Chimney in Westfield, Shepherd's Bush. I booked this table via OpenTable. If you guys have watched my reviews before, you know that I do use OpenTable to make reservations. I made this for Mother's Day last Sunday for 3 people for 3 o'clock. Unfortunately, my sister wasn't able to come, so it was just my mum and I. So what I'm going to do is insert the clip, just a brief clip of when we went to Copper Chimney, and I'll come back with my review. So guys, I hope you enjoyed that clip. I'm going to do each segment, give you different aspects of our experience at the copper chimney, and give you a rate out of 10 for each segment, and then I'll give an overall review at the end of the video. So let's start with accessibility. Okay, so invariably when I go into London, especially if I'm going to a restaurant, I like to drive, simply because of comfort, guys. It's not that deep. But when I'm taking my family members out, especially when it's my mum, I prefer to take her in the car rather than to take public transport. So let's deal with the public transport aspect first. As you may or may not know, London has excellent transport links to most places. Westfield is definitely one of those places. So you've got the tube station, which is Shepherd's Bush on the Central line, I believe, as well as the rail link to that same station. And you've also got Wood Lane. I can't remember what line that's on, but it's very easy to just look up a tube map online. And you've got buses that go around there as well. So public transport, excellent. I didn't go onto public transport. As I said, I took the car. And Google does not always tell you the truth. Let me tell you that now. Because I like to drive when I'm going out, I like to see what the parking situation is like. We weren't going directly into central London, so congestion charge was not going to be an issue. My issue was going to be, is it free to park on a Sunday? Google actually lied to me and told me that it's free to park on a Sunday around the area. For some reason, guys, something said to me, it's not free. I don't know why. I don't know why I thought this, but I thought, just to be on the safe side, let's leave early. Because I didn't want to rush. I didn't want my mum to have to rush, and just allow time if there were going to be any issues with parking. We were gonna have it sorted. So guys, I was right. Parking was an issue. Google told me parking will be free on Sunday. It's not free. Monday to Sunday, if it's a residential street that you're looking to park on, you're not going to have a free access before 10 p.m. Which I can understand from a resident's point of view. If I was living in that area, I wouldn't want all and sundry to be parked in front of my house. If you have a residence permit, you're okay to park there. But I get it. But it was still like, parking. So driving around for about 10-15 minutes, every side street we went down was a residential street, and parking was not free. Even the further away we drove, it was still going to be an issue. So I kind of turned back and decided, okay, it looks like I'm going to have to pay to park in Westfield. You don't get free parking in Westfield regardless of the day or the time of day. I'm going to put a table up here on the screen somewhere to show you how much it costs to park inside Westfield shopping complex itself. When people tell you that it's not cheap to live in London, believe them, guys, because it isn't. And this is why I didn't want to park in Westfield, especially at the weekends. I just have this thing where, why should I have to pay for parking at the weekends? In the weekday, it's understandable, but at the weekends, when it's your leisure time, Anyway, like I said, I resigned myself to the fact that I may have to pay for parking in Westfield Shopping Centre. So as we turned round and we were making our way back towards the centre, I spotted a free space on the actual main road, Uxbridge Road, which I wasn't aware that it was going to be free on Sunday. Parking restrictions are from Monday to Saturday on that particular road. Busy main road. Got a space there. The compromise was, guys, that we had to walk 10 to 15 minutes to get to the restaurant. And I surprisingly was able to walk in my heels, which I haven't... Yeah, I was surprised. I was actually alright. Yeah, 10 to 15 minutes. And the reason why that wasn't a major problem is because it was... Although it was overcast, it wasn't raining. And it was fairly mild. It wasn't cold. Had the situation been different, guys, the overall experience would have been different. So it wasn't too bad. We knew we were going to have to walk because where the restaurant is situated is, if you know Westfield at all, you know you have the food court inside the complex, but just outside is still within the footprint of the property, of the whole area, but you've got a parade of restaurants just outside. And this is where Copper Chimney is situated, just on the parade of restaurants outside. So we still would have had to walk even if we were parked right by Westfield, because that area is pedestrianised. So yeah, it is what it is. So accessibility, I can't really give it a rating with regard to the car, because I understand why they have to have restrictions there, because it is a predominantly residential area. It would be unfair of me to rate it, because yeah, it would just be unfair. If I wanted to be selfish, I'd give it a no, I don't even want to rate it. I don't want to rate it. It is what it is. We got there and it was fine. We didn't have to pay for parking. So that's that, accessibility. The next thing I want to talk about is the actual restaurant itself. Now, we entered there. As I say, we booked the table I made the reservation for 3 o'clock. We got to the restaurant and we were greeted by a young receptionist. You know, she seemed friendly enough. She asked me the details, etc., and then she asked me for my booking confirmation. So as I was on my phone looking up my booking confirmation to show her, she then proceeded to show us to our table, which was okay. That means we didn't have to wait. We actually got there at 2:34, so about 25 minutes before the actual booking. But we were seated immediately. That was fine, but she never asked me for my booking confirmation again. So yeah, I don't know, obviously it wasn't that important. Anyway, we got seated, and even before we got seated, like, one of the waiters that passed us, he said good evening to us. I mean, it was in the afternoon, but he greeted us, he acknowledged us. And I thought, okay, I think these guys are going to be, like, the waiting staff is going to be, it's going to be a pleasant experience to have them serve us. Because you can kind of tell when you go into a restaurant, if one member of staff is, like, indifferent, I'd say the rest of them are going to be indifferent. But guys, this first waiter that we encountered, he didn't end up being our waiter, but that was an indication of how the staff were going to be. When I tell you that this staff was so friendly, so attentive, without being overbearing, without going over the top, the service was just right as far as I was concerned. Even my mum, like, she commented. That was a good indication of how we were going to be looked after. Very smiley, all of them, very pleasant, but they didn't keep coming over every 2 minutes to see if we were okay, because sometimes that can be a bit too much. So I noted all of that, and yeah, we were pleasantly surprised. So for the staff, 10 out of 10, guys, no hesitation. 10 out of 10 for the staff at the Copper Chimney. Brilliant. The next thing I want to talk about is the decor. So traditionally, in Indian restaurants that I've been to, they always used to have this almost obligatory flock wallpaper, and the ornate, the vibrant colours, and I don't know, just this kind of traditional style of decor in these Indian restaurants. But I think they're moving away from that, because the decor in the Copper Chimney is quite modern, not ultra modern, but it's contemporary. And what I mean by that, the colours are muted but still warm at the same time. It wasn't like a stark, sterile kind of place. It was still warm, but it wasn't overpowering. It wasn't, the decor and the colours weren't invading your senses, if that makes sense. It was a nice layout. I could only film the right side of me, and I could only even do that not straight away because there was a family sitting right by us, and I didn't want them to be in the film. I couldn't film to the left of me, sorry, because there was families with young children, like under 5. Wasn't going to do that. And where I was sat opposite the padded seating. Now, if I'd sat on the padded seating and filmed opposite me, there were still people there with kids, and so I was kind of limited in what I could film. So I could only give you that. I think it's a 3-minute clip. I could only give you that, guys. So I do apologise for that. If I could have done a longer clip, I would have done. But I hope it's given you an idea of what the interior of the restaurant was. So with regard to decor, I want to give it an 8 out of 10 because it was quite spacious and you didn't feel cramped. It was alright. It was good. So the next thing I want to talk about, guys, is the ambiance. Immediately I noticed that I felt, for some reason, even when you factor in the friendly staff and the, you know, nice, neutral but warm decor, the ambiance, I wasn't feeling it, guys. And to this day I can't put my finger on it. I don't know what it was. This was only a few days ago, but I remember I didn't feel, I can't say that I felt relaxed in that restaurant, and it's no fault of the restaurant, and there was nothing wrong with me. I think because I'm used to, when I go to a restaurant, I like to hear background music, just something easy to listen to. I don't like to sit in complete silence, but if you're going to have background music on, have it at a level where you can actually hear the music, but it's not going to invade your enjoyment. It's not going to stop you from having a conversation, if that makes sense. I like background music to be on, but that I can actually hear it. I couldn't hear any music. I could hear something, but I could not hear I couldn't hear it. It's as simple as that. I just couldn't hear it. It's like you had to, not that I was wanting to listen to, you know, that's not the purpose of me going to the restaurant. I just couldn't hear it. Even if I tried to listen, I couldn't hear what was being played. In addition to that, I don't know what machine they had behind this bar, guys, but the thing was so irritating. I don't know, it was like it was grinding something. I don't know whether it was coffee beans or I don't know what it was, but the thing was loud and it was sudden, and it was like I want to say every 15 to 20 minutes, whoever was operating the machine, it was just sudden, a sudden noise, really loud, and then it stopped. And you couldn't talk. You couldn't talk during that time. It was a short amount of time. I'd say no more than 2 minutes, I guess. But if you were having a conversation, you had to stop the conversation until that machine stopped and then resume the conversation. And I think that's what kind of took away from the whole experience. That there was no ambience, guys, for me on that particular day at that particular time. It's a shame. I can't really, if I'm going to rate ambience, I'm going to give it a 3 out of 10. I just didn't feel, there was no atmosphere for me, guys, which is a shame. So let's now talk about the menu. Now, as you can see from the clip, I scanned the menu. It was quite a big menu. It was like light card, and you've got quite a number of dishes on there. Good selection of dishes, starters, mains, and everything else. And on the flip side were a good selection of drinks. So let's start off with the drinks first. I wasn't in the mood for a cocktail. It wasn't a cocktail day for me, and I didn't want just a regular soft drink. So I thought, let me try the ginger ale. I've seen Fever Tree on the menu. I'd never tried Fever Tree before, but I've seen it advertised and I've heard good things about it. So I thought, let me try that. Now, all the ginger ales that I've tried in the past, for me, they're a weakened, a diluted version of Jamaican ginger beer. Any of you that have had Jamaican ginger beer know that that's quite a strong, distinctive taste. Any ginger ales I've had has been like a completely watered down version of that, to the point where you only get a tiny hint of ginger, if at all. Fever Tree ginger ale, I don't have any affiliation to them, but yeah, I would order that again. I would like to see that on more menus, because you could actually taste the ginger coming through, but it wasn't overpowering. It wasn't going to destroy your taste buds, basically, or the back of your throat. It was a nice drink, very nice drink. And then my mum ordered my mum ordered half a lager. My mum's in her 70s. She doesn't care. She wants what she wants. It was Mother's Day. Have what you want, mum. She ordered half a lager. Don't ask me why. That's what she wanted. She can do what she wants. Drinks, 10 out of 10 for the drinks. They were the price I would have expected to pay in any restaurant in London. Didn't have an issue with that. Great. So when we talk about the food now, I ordered a lamb rogan josh, and my mum ordered, I think it was butter chicken. What I noticed, because when I've gone to some restaurants, they have the main dish, but they tell you what it comes with, like if it comes with rice or veg or whatever side it is. On this menu, I didn't see that, so I asked the waiter when he came to take our food order. First of all, was the rogan josh spicy? I don't do well with spice. Like, I like a little bit of spice, but not too much. And the reason why I know that the spice will be too much is because I'll start to sweat and my nose will start to run. I'm not someone that sweats, but if you see me sweating, it's because I've had a very spicy dish. He said that it was spicy but not too spicy. It's all relative, because what would have been not spicy for him could have been really spicy for me. But it turned out okay. It wasn't too spicy. It was all right. I could still taste the food. You could still taste the flavour. So that was good. I would order that again. Lamb rogan josh. The lamb was so tender. Oh my gosh. Boneless lamb, lovely. And when we had to order sides. So I ordered one naan and a steamed rice. The rice was cooked to perfection. The naan was cooked to perfection. All the food was freshly prepared. It was fresh food, and it was full of flavour. The only thing I want to say with regard to the sides was the naan. The rice was more than adequate. We had, it was good. Even the naan we shared, but when I've ordered naan in the past, it's been a big naan bread. This one was not as big as I hoped it would be, or I expected it to be. As you can see from the video, it was quite small, and I was like, okay, but it was tasty though. We were halfway through our meal and the waiter came to check to see if everything was okay, and then he asked me if I wanted another naan, and at this point I thought, yeah, I wouldn't mind another one actually. So we were eating and talking, and then we finished eating, but this naan still hadn't come. So I was like, okay, didn't come, it's fine. And I wasn't craving the naan. And then I had a thought. I thought, I hope they don't include this in the bill at the end. With regard to the food, I'm going to, in terms of flavour, I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10. The only reason I'm going to give it a 9 out of 10 is because when my mum got her dish, she said it was too salty. But then when it comes to salt, my mum's taste buds are not your average taste buds, because sometimes what is just right for us as her kids, it is too salty for her, and what is just right for her will be too salty for someone else. So it was like, okay, mum, are you sure that is too salty? She's like, yeah, she didn't like the taste of it, so we swapped. We shared the dishes, but then we ended up swapping because she liked my one, so I took her one. For me, it was fine, but that was it. That's not an issue. It's not the restaurant's fault. It's just one of those things. So yeah. So the food, I'm still gonna give it. What did I say? 8 out of 10. 8. Let me say 8 out of 10. Yeah, which is still a high score. 8 out of 10. And I just want to say about the bill. So they came with the bill, and as I expected, they included the naan. So the bill originally was over £50. So I mentioned to the waiter, I said, just politely said to him, oh, I see you've included an extra naan. We didn't actually get the naan. And he's like, oh, they didn't send it over. I was like, no. So it wasn't an issue for him. He just came back with, he said, oh, no problem, I'll sort that out for you now. So he went away and came back with an amended bill, which, as you could see from the clip, it was just over £48. So that was great. One thing I want to say, even before that, with regard to the food, my mum wanted a sorbet as a dessert, and as we were about to order the sorbet, the waiter came with he came over with a dish in his hand, and he said, "Oh, we just wanted to give you this as a complimentary Mother's Day treat." And what it was carrot cake with pistachio ice cream. As you can see, I zoomed into that cake. The cake was so moist, and it was very you could taste the carrot and the pistachio ice cream. I'd never had pistachio ice cream before, and I didn't know what to expect, so it was nice, guys. I don't know whether it was cardamom seeds on top of the carrot cake, but yeah, that was a nice way to round off that meal. Even with you know, the small naan bread, and you know, them adding an extra naan bread into the bill, and you know, that kind of they made up for it with the free dessert. So that's why overall I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10 for the food, because the food was nice. The food was very, very nice. You know, it's just one of these things that happens. So I'm not gonna give them a horrible rate for the food. The food was great. The extra touch with the free dessert for Mother's Day, that was good as well. So finally, I want to talk about the toilets. Now, if you've watched my other restaurant reviews, you know that for some reason toilets is a thing for me. I just want to be able to access easily. I think I've had that from childhood. I just need to know where the toilets are. That's what I've concluded. So going to the toilets now, I noted that they had toilets up a flight of stairs. As I was getting up to go to the loo, there was a waiter who was round at the bottom of the stairs, and he looked at me and he said, "Oh, are you looking for the toilets?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Do you want?" He said, "They're up the stairs," but then he said, "Do you want to use the disabled one?" And I was like, "Okay." Right. In my head, I'm like, "Why do you want me to go to the disabled toilet?" So he said, "They're just round here." So he redirected me. I followed him, not up the stairs, but back through where the restaurant was, and there was another door where the disabled toilet was. So that was on the ground floor. So I said to him, just out of interest, why did you direct me to the disabled toilet? He said, "Oh, because you've got your heels on." I was like, "Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you so much." And that's why I said, guys, this staff, what does he care whether I go up the stairs? And my cynical side could say because they don't want to be sued if I drop and break my neck, but I didn't think that. The guy actually looked at me and saw my footwear, and he thought, no, it'll be safer for her if she goes and uses the disabled. It's more convenient. Regardless of what his motives were, he did me a favour, and I'm so appreciative of that they actually looked at that to that level of detail, that they care about their customers. So yeah, what rate am I going to give it overall? Copper Chimney, Westfield, Shepherd's Bush, the overall rate I would give you is 8 out of 10. I can't give it 10 out of 10 because nothing is perfect, but 8 out of 10 for me, I consider it a high score because I would go there again. I would recommend it as a good venue to have a good meal, a substantial meal, because I was still full by the time we left. Let me see, we were seated by 2:34. They give you a 2-hour grace period. We left by 4:25. When we were walking to the restaurant, I googled just to see exactly where it was, and in real time it says which restaurants are busy and which restaurants are not. So it's indicated that this restaurant was not busy at that particular time, around 2:30. By the time we left at 4:25, more and more people were coming in. So I think as you were heading from the afternoon into the early evening, that's when it started to get busy. So I think we went at the right time, because initially when I saw that it said not busy, I thought, okay, is the food not good then, or is it not popular? But I didn't need to worry about that. It was just the time of day. I guess people were booking their meals for later on, having spent time elsewhere on Mother's Day. I don't know. But yeah, 8 out of 10 for the copper chimney. And yeah, the food was great. Just, you know, a couple of things that could be improved, as I've mentioned. But overall, yes, I would go there again. I think I wouldn't go there on a Sunday, because Sunday, I'm not averse to crowds, but for me it was just too many people. And I think Sunday in London in general, Sunday is now the busiest day of the week. If I was going to go there again, it's either going to be on a weekday meeting one of my friends for lunch, or on a Saturday evening if I want to stay relatively local, if I don't want to go all the way into central London. Those are my perspectives of the copper chimney, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. I look forward to doing more reviews. I actually went out a couple of nights ago to Waterloo to meet some friends, and I don't know whether I'm going to do a review on that, possibly, or maybe another review on something else like in the near future. But guys, I thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, you know what to do. LSN. I hope to see you again soon. Have a great week, and you'll catch me in the next video.